Hi, beautiful souls. This is Sadhana. Welcome to my channel and welcome to my deck combination series. I thought I'd have some fun today and share with you some combos for the season for Samhain, for Halloween. And let's get started right away. So up in the top center, I have Victoria Moseley's Vintage Wisdom Oracle. On either side of that, I've placed my combination deck of the 3 editions of the Oracle of Oddities by Claire Goodchild of Black and the Moon. And then down on the bottom here, sorry, I just banged the tripod. We have, I've put the Zombie Tarot. This is by the same creators as the Housewives Tarot, Paul Kepple, and the other creator's name is Ralph Geroni. This is a really fun deck and also pairs really well with the Housewives Tarot itself. But I thought today we would kind of, this felt like a really fun combination to start with. There's something about this vintage wisdom that you can use with past life readings. You can use with kind of any readings that feel kind of more ethereal, looking back into ancestors and ancient energy. And sometimes it's nice to mix darker decks with ones that aren't quite so dark. I do not have any, well, that's not true. I'm going to show you one today. I was going to say I don't have any vampire decks, but don't have a lot of that kind of stuff in my collection. Ooh, so we have a major, and then the Page of Cups. Okay, so Sanctuary. So there's some reason to, and this Sanctuary card really feels like softness, nurturing, really taking care, or creating sacred space. So something like that. This Judgment card here is really kind of terrifying, actually. Having the, now, whether this is an atom bomb or something else, I remember there was a guru, a yoga teacher, quite an enlightened being actually, and he was talking about driving a car and reminding us the power that we have behind a steering wheel, just the sheer weight of the vehicle and the speed that we tend to drive at. And something about that memory was triggered when I first saw this card, because there are other triggers and powerful things that we have, not only vehicles or something like this, but the trigger could be language or money or whatever it is. And we need to be really careful that, what do I want to say? There's something about having that power and also having the power never to use it. And the Judgment card for me is really about that in itself. It's about stepping to that next level where you live in a place of trust and you no longer have to wrestle with your ego and all of those third world dimension kind of things. This is the third kind of level through the spiral beyond the hermit, beyond the hanged man, and stepping forth into something really quite beautiful. And I think renouncing that power is kind of what I want to say. So the change here is about, moving forward and kind of relinquishing that power, knowing that you always have it. You could have used it, but you knew better not to use it. And for some reason, I'm just kind of looking at the tarot cards here. I haven't really glanced above. But there is a childlike innocence in releasing that. And there's a sense of freedom in releasing that. And I'm looking to the ocean here. I also want to tap into something about the subconscious for sure that's coming up here. There may be also a sense of sadness in relinquishing that. And this is a really big change for you to have the courage to let go of that. And look at this, we have water and water. And so there's something about this reading that I want to say has been percolating for a while, like coming to the surface. You have wanted to step into a place of trust for a long time, and there's been signals, there's been signs, and you may have seen them but just weren't quite ready. So the Sanctuary card is about giving yourself the space to kind of process through this big change. I like that. Okay, let's do one more with this combination and we'll see where it takes us. So starting with wisdom. I just love the colors on the Vintage Wisdom Oracle. All right, so I've got my tripod in a new place today, so it's kind of a little awkward with a larger card reading here. So we have 8 of Hazards. And this is a really fun deck. It's surprisingly straight up, straightforward in the little guidebook that comes with it, but also with a sense of humor and a sense of a real sense of play with the whole zombie notion. And I think the Empress card in this deck really embodies the whole sense of the card. So the 8 of Hazards, the 8 of Pentacles. What is being created in this cylinder here? Do not open. There's something very optimistic and very special about the 8 of Pentacles in this deck, the 8 of Hazards, in that it feels like an opportunity to start over again and move back into something that you always wanted to do. Perhaps when you were younger, you weren't allowed to do it, or you thought it wouldn't serve as a profession, or it didn't suit your family or your community, or it was something you didn't feel brave enough to do as a career. But at this point in your life, you kind of recognize that what you do as a job, what you do as a career, there's some element of it that just doesn't sit right with you. And so now is the time to kind of, let go of this. It feels like it's mundane. It feels like you don't really love your job. And so you need to let go of this and, use this opportunity to use this time to create something new. There might be a tremendous amount of sadness in letting go of a career you've had for a really, really long time. But look how this, emotionally feels so much better, bringing you from sadness into balance in a place of, love and harmony. That really feels, it feels right. And also, probably you knew deep down that eventually at some point in your life, you would let go of this career. You would let go and you would actually go back and step into something that you wanted to do a long time ago. Maybe your counselors at high school told you that, that was not a suitable career based on your achievement tests. Who knows? So let's have a look at the Oracle of Oddities and see if we can find some clarity here. So yeah, it's really important that as you let go of this, that you don't bring in the hostility. There may be some anger, almost like a sense of wasting all those years, wasting all that time and not doing what I really wanted to do, or being angry for the people who led you down that garden path, But that's the past, and it's really important to be present and to look to hard to really see the 2 upright cups in this version of the 5 of Cups, but kind of, look to the 2 upright cups that are here and to be okay with moving forward and trust in your inner wisdom that now is the time to move forward. And then looking to this beautiful Nexus card over on the right, it just sits really well with this 2 of Cups here, supporting the energy of the 2 of Cups. On the left side of the reading, we have these 2 really kind of toxic cards. And then over here on the right, we have this beautiful energy. So this kind of symbiosis, this creation here, of these 2 coming together to create one. And I was just thinking of the birds and the bees and how the flowers support the bees. And it just feels really right and really healthy. So trust in your inner wisdom to move forward and take your time in developing this, but know that the time is ripe for you to, make this change. So yeah, I think that's it's a really beautiful combo. So you can have some fun with it because this is, they're kind of quirky decks, especially, the Zombie and the Oracle of Oddities, but the readings feel really honest and bang on. The next combination is the Guardian Tarot on the outside here by Beth Seilonen. And in the center, I have the Soul Trees Oracle cards by Allyson Williams-Yee. And I know I've used this deck a few times. This is it's a great deck to pair with many different tarot decks. The Guardian Tarot is it's very airy. It's very soulful. It can bring up a lot of shadow, a pretty deep deck. And the reason I think it works well with the season is because of its airiness. We're moving into, we are in the season of autumn, and it just feels like it suits that. There's few leaves on the trees, and it really matches the mood of this time of year. So we have the Knight of Swords and the Ten of Pentacles. I feel like with the Knight of Swords, there is conflict. Conflict reflecting back that natural intelligence, while at the same time wanting to be more active and be more impulsive, like the Knight of Fire. The Knight of Swords wants to move quickly and be active, but there's something about the intellect, something about that inner knowing and the wisdom that holds back the Knight of Swords. And I think that's why the Knight of Swords acts irrationally at times, because of that internal turmoil. And we have, look at this amazing color here, the way that the light is rising up through the roots and the body of the tree. And then we have this changing color and this beautiful purple, wisdom kind of representing the crown chakra energy. I don't know, there's something there. So please be mindful of that conflict and how you manage that conflict. When I read court cards, most of the time I try to get the querent to look at this as a reflection of the energy that they need to see within themselves at this particular time. And so if you can bring those two dimensions, those two aspects of the Knight of Swords together, this looks very comforting, and it looks like very, very optimistic. So this inner turmoil, it would be great if you could spend some time with that now. And so how are we going to do that? This is beautiful, actually. Self-compassion, compassion for yourself, knowing that it's not always easy to be the smartest one in the class. It's not always easy to be the guy who has all the answers, guy, gal, right? There's something about not beating yourself up for that. When I turned this card over, the first thing I thought of was the heart, and really learning to draw a line between the heart and the mind. And what's really important as the Knight of Swords energy matures is to learn how to express and to articulate from the heart space, to learn about compassion, not only self-compassion, but compassion for others, and to really understand the power of that sword that you wield, because you are so smart, because your vocabulary is so large, because you have such a way with words and language and all of those things. You need to learn to be really, really careful and more understanding of all those that are around you. And this is a lifelong challenge for this energy. And it probably, because it's such a strong energy, it's probably going to come up, often and be reflected back to you. So take time to really contemplate the center card here, because you have the potential to live and to be in a more harmonious situation, but your self-work is really, really important at this time. I hope that made sense. Sometimes it's just really difficult to express what I feel. Sometimes readings can be so clear in my heart, and sorry, I've put this whole deck upside down, and difficult to express in words. So we have the Six of Wands. Oh my God, look at that. That's perfect. Celebration, Six of Wands. what I want to say here is that there feels like a reluctance to embrace the mood of the celebration. She is looking away from the celebration. And I know that when we enter into the Six of Wands energy, there can be a sense of exhaustion, depending on what you came through. You know, there's a lot of work to arrive at the Six of Wands, and you might not be feeling your best. You might be feeling more like you need a rest than to enter into the celebration. But I think the important energy here is to acknowledge that, you've kind of arrived at this pinnacle, at this point where it is time for you to, acknowledge your success, and you've done a really, really good job. So this sometimes is not necessarily for yourself, but for others. And keep that in mind too. Sometimes we have to share our success with others, especially if there are a lot of supporting players. You can see the supporting players in the background along the way, along this journey. But it definitely does look like she's reluctant to kind of step into that. And then we have the Two of Wands. So yeah, I get this. It's like, okay, so what if we reach our goal? What if we achieve what we set out to achieve? Then what? Then what do we do? And I think this is a lesson more than anything about being present. So right now, right here, be with those that are around you and enjoy it. And don't worry about tomorrow. You can deal with this decision after you've given yourself a little bit of time to be in this energy. This to me feels very airy. It feels very more like a Two of Swords kind of energy. And I would really encourage you to be with people, to be with good food, to be on the ground, and there's a tremendous sense of earthiness to this card, and I would encourage you to really embrace that. Oh, I really like this deck combination. It feels just, and the colors are so beautiful. Sorry, I want to share with you other decks, but I just really want to do one more. So we have the Emperor here, and the color red is going to be really important. And we also have water, which is not a usual archetype we see with the Emperor. So this can represent, of course, subconscious. It can represent balance, the fire and the water energy being in balance. And there's this real sense of wisdom here, another energy is kind of implanted within the rock from which the tree is emerging. And so the Emperor has a real solid foundation based in wisdom, in the wisdom of the earth. And then we have the Strength card. So if you are feeling a little vulnerable at this time, if you are feeling like you cannot take on this leadership role, this is about kind of digging deep within to find that. And please know that you have this. You've got this. And there's no reason for you to not step forward as the leader. Wow. That's amazing. Okay. And for clarity, let's see what we've got here. Yeah. So stepping into this role is exactly what you need to do. Like, it's kind of going to lead you to a little bit more, it's going to lead you to more ease, to an easier place where you can celebrate all that you have. But right now, this is important. This digging deep and being, trusting your strength, trusting in your leadership. Beautiful, beautiful combination of cards. All right, so let's go to something a little more Halloween-y, because I know I promised you that. Okay, I'm sure you've seen this combo many times together, but I just really wanted to do one reading with the US Games Halloween Tarot. This is the one by Kipling West, and this is Stacey DeMarco's Halloween Tarot. And it looks this way because I have trimmed it. I have not done the corner rounding. I wanted to reback these cards. I really don't like the backs on these cards. I'd like to give it something, I don't know, a little more sophisticated But yeah, ooh, this is such a pretty card. You know, there's something about this card with the fiery energy of the eyes, and it almost feels like a little bit of a eclipse energy happening here, and we have this balance between the moon and the sun. It feels like, you know, like true wisdom emerging, and we not only have that subconscious lunar energy, but we have, you know, action. So this is a really, really great card to pull, right? It means that you have been able to trust your inner knowing, and now you move forward you're stepping forward with action and not just sitting back passively and doing nothing about what it is you have to do. Okay, so we have this moon energy, right? Reflected here in the cards. We have the reflection of the water energy. And I never thought about this before, but we have this orange color, well, throughout this deck because of the theme of the Halloween tarot, but that's an interesting contrast between the fiery energy and the water energy as well too. Never thought about that. So yeah, so moving forward, stepping forward, like doing something about your situation. And the Eight of Ghosts is about doing that. It's about recognizing it is time to go and time to move forward, but there may be other actions that you need to take as you move forward. Sometimes it's hard emotionally to leave all of that behind, but please know that I've talked about the Judgment card before, and I just think it's a beautiful card to really understand that you've reached a new place, and your path is going to take a new direction if you're willing to step forward and, you know, and commit to that shift, really, that shift in your path, that shift in your life. Yeah. Okay, so let's put that to the side because I don't want to, you know, overuse a deck that gets used a lot, especially in this season. Next combination is the Arthur Rackham Oracle and Dark Mansion Tarot by Tarotica Studios, Duck Soup Productions. It's very challenging. I've had a hard time finding Oracle decks to work with this one. But I think this is it's a good choice of a good combination. So what's being reflected back now is that you need to know that you have the resources, you have the energy, you have the ability to move through whatever's going on right now. So let's just see what is going on. Ending. Our journey's over and done. Ooh, so kind of contrasting, conflicting cards there. Because the Magician is kind of like we have the Alpha and the Omega. Yeah, we have the Alpha and the Omega. We have the beginning and the end. So the reason the Magician card has popped up here is because as we come, you know, endings can be really difficult. Endings can be hard to face. They can be sorrowful. And so we need to see them for what they are. And that is on the other side of the ending, there is a new beginning. And with the Ten of Swords, we need to really embrace the idea that we have, you know, we've been through a lot. And there is a sense of hopefully lessons have been learned about communication. Lessons have been learned about ego and power and everything that is represented in the Suit of Swords. And so the Magician card here I see as kind of like a supporting character, a supporting player to help you move through the challenges of this particular ending. Okay, the story continues. Six of Swords. So now we are moving forward. Renewal, the mercurial soul. Oh, that's beautiful. So this feels like, it does feel like the continuation of the story. And know that this ending was meant to happen and that you are moving forward to something much later, and that will bring you a new opportunity. How beautiful is that? Wow. I know I've said this before, but sometimes when you do these multiple card readings, and this could have easily been a 6 card or a 9 card reading, if I was doing this with a client, and so that these 3 cards would support the 3 cards that that I drew before. Okay, next we have Nari Anastarsia's Blue Messiah reading cards in the center. And this is the Lo Scarabeo Dark Angels deck. This was the first dark deck that I really brought into my collection. It's the first one that I worked with, and I surprisingly really enjoyed doing readings with it. It's a great swords deck. If you like working with the energy of the air and the challenges of the suit of swords, the swords in this deck are really, really amazing. I'll just show you the box in case I haven't seen this one too much on YouTube. So Dark Angels Tarot, Lo Scarabeo. Yeah. So yeah, really nice. This one doesn't have multiple languages all on the borders, which is great. So we have 10 of Wands. So there's a real sense of darkness in this 10 of Wands. You know, it almost looks like a 10 of Swords kind of card, but there's a real sense of heaviness. There is a little bit of lightness in the background. The reason that I wanted to use this card, one, the colors of these 2 decks look amazing together, but there's something about needing a little bit of light, a little bit of the light to support the darkness of a deck like this. And so we have Inner Vision. Really interesting that we have the cloaked figures here. And sometimes that inner vision is only possible when we close our eyes and we turn within, right? In order to see this light, to realize this light, we may need to close our eyes. So we've come to the end of a cycle, and it's important that we pause perhaps before we step forward, because sometimes when we're at the end of a cycle, we don't know which way to go next. And so the way to go next is to turn inward and just kind of see. Now the Inner Vision card is facing the card on the right, which is the 4 of Pentacles. So all I can say with this one, not knowing the question, and we haven't asked any questions so far in this video, is that make sure that as you move forward, that you're not grasping, right? It doesn't feel like you're in a panic to succeed, to do well, to move on, to go forward in a hurry. More important to take your time and to kind of really reflect what the next step might be. Soul tribe. So finding your people, allowing yourself to be supported by others is important. And that is not what the 3 of Pentacles is all about. It's knowing that you don't have to do this alone. You don't have to go this alone. These are important times to be with others so that you feel grounded, so that you feel stable, so that you can carry on, really. And I think a key word here would be taking your time to be with others. And if we had another deck of cards here that had a chai card in it, I think this is where you need the chai card. Like, this is really time to go and have a cup of coffee with your friends, to relax, sit back, and put your feet up. No need to rush forward. Just be with your people and allow your people to support you. All right, and our last combination for this video, I know I've done this combo before, but I just really like these 2 decks together. I think they speak well together, and for those people that aren't comfortable using Everyday Witch year round, it's a great deck to use in the fall season. It's a great deck to to use for Halloween and Samhain. Wow, what a beautiful card. Oh, this deck is just so gorgeous. I really should just keep it in my basket. Every time I pull it out, I'm kind of awestruck by the beauty of the art. This feels very spiritual to me. This focus, very, very spiritual. I'm looking at these dots of energy up here. I'm looking at how the crow, the raven, is supporting her prayer, supporting her, the magic that she is creating here. But it feels like prayer. It feels like deep, soulful meditation. She's also offering flowers. So who is she offering flowers to, or why is she offering flowers, or what is the magic that's being created here? So focus means about being entirely present with, in this case, perhaps a meditation practice or a prayer, or knowing that it's okay to be alone and on your own right now. This is not a time where you need to be diverting your energy at all. Do not for a second consider this is being selfish. All right. So her body language is facing towards this card, towards the King of Pentacles energy. The King of Pentacles is facing away from her. So while she is focused on him, he is not focused on her, if that makes sense. Few different ways I might go with this. Okay. So for some reason, death, divorce, geographical relocation, it feels like this energy, be this a mother figure, father figure, perhaps a husband has moved away, whether in this plane or another. But that energy that you counted on for support, for comfort, for trust, has left, and it's created sorrow and grief. Oh, okay. We're not going to end on this reading because this is kind of really, really sad, but also a beautiful combination of cards. So this is a really important card here to understand how to move through this energy. So regardless of whether he or she has died or moved, or you're divorced or whatever, or separated, you are going to move through this time. You're going to grow. You're going to find your answers. You're going to find your, and this sounds like such a generic reading because this is how we move through any time of challenge, but this is a perfect card to come up with this kind of difficult situation here. So turning in and being quiet and being silent, not being with a whole bunch of people, but really learning to listen to yourself is really important. And that's how you're going to move through this. Oh, bless. Bless, bless, bless. Okay. Six of Swords. I love in the Six of Swords how this kind of energy is wafting through here and supporting the movement, and you really see the element of air, and I love the way the leaves are moving there. And again, here we have an example, of the energy of moving on. And I know on all these readings I've pulled the cards in different order and whatnot, but the moving on here is perhaps moving toward your tribe. Your tribe is over here. And, perhaps this is a continuous scene. You've left something behind which has been quite challenging. And now this is going to give you an opportunity to be with others who are way more supportive of you, and less argumentative. And it's just going to feel easier. Why are you looking back? That's what I want to know. Why are you looking back? Why are you not looking forward when you should be focusing on what lies ahead? Is there some sense of regret? Should you have left some of these swords behind? I don't know. I really want to ask why you're looking back. And that's something that I would definitely work with the client. That's kind of cool that we have the prosperity card. So knowing that this adventure, this next step that you move forward to, is going to feel quite solid, and you don't need to worry that leaving is a good thing. But yeah, this is a kind of a really important question to ask, and that is, why are you looking back? I wanted to end on a really kind of a lighter note. Oh my goodness, let me get all these heavy readings. So we have the Empress. She has her hand on her pregnant belly. And create. I told you these two decks speak to each other well. Okay, so what are you creating? Ooh, and you've got Knight of Swords energy here too. Okay, so I will end with this one because it's kind of going to be a long video, even if I edit out some of the pairs. So we have two cards here that really support each other. The Create card is looking towards the Empress. These two cards are definitely a yes answer to support anything that you are developing at this time. So how would I bring in this Knight of Swords energy to this very clear, yes answer to development, creation type of question? If there wasn't a question, I would definitely seek clarification now, because depending on what the question is, this is going to say something completely different. But there's some obvious things here. One, the Knight of Swords is moving away from the reading and she has her back to the Knight of Swords. So that might be very, very important. This might also indicate speed. So it might indicate the need to act quickly on this development, to move forward on this development. But I really want to know why their backs are to each other and why she's resisting moving forward, because that is, loud and clear. And then the other thing I said earlier, I believe it was on this video, that the Knight of Swords can be quite conflicted between his need to act quickly and to expedite the matter and to communicate and think things through really clearly. He is intelligent, right? He's naturally intelligent and has that ability, but he can also be quite rash and impulsive. So need to be kind of careful if there are some decisions that need to be made regarding this development, that you want to be working with somebody a little more experienced than the Knight of Swords. We need a question. We need a couple of clarification cards to kind of really understand what the relationship is between this card and these two cards here. Thank you for joining me today, and I look forward to reading your questions and comments below. Stay well, my friends. Namaste.